Host Nia Malika Henderson. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Rev.
Good evening.
Congressman, 55 votes against the health care law. I mean, are your Republican colleagues having a hard time accepting reality here?
They're really apoplectic at this point. They don't know what to do. It's turned out exactly as Mrs. Sebelius predicted, and they don't know how to deal with success. They have lost, and they can't admit it, so they keep throwing all kinds of crazy ideas against the wall, hoping something will stick. But I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're ultimately going to admit they failed, and they're going to pivot and start to say they're here to help fix it, and they're going to try and love it to death. That's going to be their next trick.
Now, you know, Nia Malika, the Republicans are trying they're just tying themselves up, really, in all kinds of knots, trying to say they don't like the health care law and this and that about the health care law. But they do like what's in it. Listen to this.
Let's start with the idea that pre-existing illnesses should not deny you coverage.
The overarching theme is let's protect the most vulnerable, those with pre-existing conditions, those that have trouble accessing health care.
The fact of the matter is that no one is against trying to cover people with pre-existing conditions. No one is against removing lifetime caps on medical coverage.
You know, it's almost like Obamacare light.
Right. I mean, I think that's a good way to describe it. In talking to Republican strategists specifically about what Republicans might do going forward with some of the new numbers out, they do suggest that some Republicans might come out with their own plans. And you've seen some of that. Bobby Jindal, for instance, out of Louisiana, had a 4-page plan of what he would do around health care. He would repeal Obamacare and then replace it with certain other items that conservatives like. Ben Carson was on the Hill today talking about the way he would reform health care as well. So I think you will see that from Republicans in anticipation of Democrats saying, okay, what if you do repeal it? What are you going to replace it with? So I do think this week is something of a reset on both sides. On the one hand, you have Democrats for the first time being able to tout these numbers of 7 million sign-ups. It'll probably go higher over the next couple of weeks. And Republicans figuring that at this point they also have to change their tune around health care and in some ways also diversify the portfolio of things that they campaign on. It can't be just about being against Obamacare. It probably will have to move also to the economy as well.
You know, Congressman, as Nia Malika talks about, they're going to have to change their tune, and you said the same in your last answer. We are hearing a different tone from some Republicans. One congressman told the New York Times, quote, "The law's real, it's there. You're seeing a recognition that the law is in place." And Nevada Senator Dean Heller says the health care law can't be the only election issue. Quote, "If we think we're going to win or lose the majority based on one single piece of legislation, I think we're mistaken." You know, is this the first step toward acceptance, Congressman?
Oh, I think it is, Al. What they realize is that we've got 6 months till we get to election. And during that period of time, people are going to be talking all across this country, back and forth from one state that has it to one state that doesn't. They're calling their sister who lives in Tennessee or their brother who lives in Alabama, and they're going to say, we got this great thing in California. And pretty soon, people are going to start to say to their members of Congress, well, what have you done about it? You said we were against this. You said this was a bad thing, but my sister says it's really great for her. And that's going to turn the American people because they're gradually getting the idea. There's 7 million people who got something they didn't have before. And they are safe and secure. And they're going to tell their family about it. And that's going to drive the Republicans crazy. They're going to have to come around to accept it.
You know, I can't help but think about all the gloom and doom we've heard before these enrollment numbers. Take a listen to this, Nia Malika.
This could be a setback for the entitlement state and the liberal, arrogant idea that could set them back for a decade.
Talking Points believes President Obama will not recover from the health care debacle.
There's no way they're going to get anywhere close to enrolling 7 million new people who have paid for their plans. It just ain't going to happen.
Kind of didn't work out that way, Nia Malika.
That's right. It didn't work out there. And privately at that time, Democrats themselves were fuming about the rollout. But, of course, things have turned around dramatically. In just these last couple of weeks, they were able to make up that gap between 6 million and 7 million. It'll probably go up much higher as well. I think Democrats in these state races have to figure out how they're going to run on this. You've got somebody like Mary Landrieu in Louisiana, where Bobby Jindal doesn't want to expand Medicaid. She's actually going back and forth with Bobby Jindal around Medicaid, around wanting him to accept this federal money that would allow residents there to get Medicaid. So it'll be interesting to see how Democrats actually play this. So far, you do have the president very much out there, very much having a bit of a victory lap, but these state-by-state races with these very vulnerable Democrats, they haven't quite figured out what their talking points are going to be around health care, even though it feels like the president has given them something of a blueprint with that first speech he gave at the White House, and then that speech also in Michigan on yesterday.
Congressman Jim McDermott and Nia Malika Henderson, thank you both for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Coming up, should rich people be allowed to